If your feed is full of gear that you don't need, your EDC will never feel settled. And sometimes the best thing that you can do for your carry isn't buying something new, it's hitting unfollow. Welcome to Not Another EDC Podcast, where everyday carry meets everyday life. I'm Mikey, a husband, a father, an EDC content creator, and gear enthusiast. Today's episode is a little uncomfortable because it includes people like me, but it's important. Now, first, let's talk about how your feed is part of your EDC. What do I mean by that? We don't think about this enough, but what you see every day becomes part of your carry. That's every ad, that's every pocket dump that you see, every must-have post or video. If your feed is constantly telling you that your EDC is incomplete or outdated, it quietly trains you to never feel finished. Now, how does gear fatigue happen? And gear fatigue is a thing. So gear fatigue doesn't come from owning too much. It comes from being constantly told that you're missing something. You start second guessing your setups. You stop trusting what works. You feel like your carry is always behind. That's not preparedness. That's consumer anxiety. Now, I talked about it being uncomfortable because of the part that involves me. And this is where I want to slow down and be completely honest because I'm a part of this space. The content creator space. I've been making EDC content for about 4 years now, but long before I became a creator, I was already a consumer just like yourself. A lot of companies that I work with today, I bought gear with my own money. At first, I reviewed it because I actually use their stuff. Those were honest reviews, which essentially led to great partnerships, and that really matters to me. Now, here's the reality of content creation that probably doesn't get talked about a lot or at all. And I also just want to be transparent about something else that pertains to that as well. First off, my life doesn't depend on EDC content creation to pay my bills. This is merely a passion. It's a hobby that grew into something bigger, but it's not my main source of income. Like I got a 9-to-5 job, work Monday through Saturday. I watched a video from Talon Sai earlier in the week, and he broke down how most creators actually make money, and he was very spot on. Truly, unless you have other income streams, content creation usually doesn't provide the return people think it does. So when I talk about gear, I'm not doing it because I need you to buy something for me to survive. I'm talking about it because I like the gear and I actually use it. Now, a little bit about affiliates and reviews. So yes, I'm an affiliate for a lot of the companies I work with and make videos about. I'm always open with that, and I disclose that in the beginning of my videos when I create videos. But I can never make a video just to push someone to buy something. Most of the gear that I review, I would personally buy myself anyway, even if I didn't have a partnership with them. And a lot of it I did in the beginning. The videos I make now are built around what I actually use on a day-to-day basis, not what's trending, not what pays the most. If I stopped getting sent gear tomorrow, my carry wouldn't change. Now let's talk about like who I actually follow and why this is important. The people I gravitate toward most when it comes to this EDC space aren't always traditional content creators. Like, sure, they're in my feed, but I don't look to follow them to get the best out of some sort of gear. I follow a lot of former law enforcement and military guys because they've actually had to use their gear in their profession and lifetime, and they've been in situations where it mattered. What I care about now isn't just about what someone carries, it's also the stories, the lessons, the philosophy behind why they carried such said item. When that perspective carries over into civilian life, it's grounded in reality, usually when it comes from these folks, not just product cycles. Now, the reality of it is that there's too many options, and that's really the main problem here. It isn't that there are options, because they're everywhere. You search it up on YouTube, you're going to have options. The problem is that there are too many options, and your feed never tells you when to stop. That applies to Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, anywhere you get your sources of social media from. And it also applies to the BST pages, the buy, sell, trade pages on Facebook. Those spaces can be great, but they're also nonstop temptation, and your feed becomes more of a moving catalog of things that you don't need. That makes it almost impossible to feel content with what you already carry. Now, What should you follow instead? I told you about what I follow and what I like, but what should you follow instead? So instead of filling your feed with pages that only push products, look for people who talk about how they actually use their gear, or why they carry such said gear, or what they stopped carrying and now carry instead, and how their life shapes their setup. Those voices help you become more intentional with your carry and not impulsive. Here's this week's weekly podcast challenge. Unfollow 3 pages or channels that make you feel like you're always missing something. And then follow 1 account that talks about mindset, use, and purpose. Then just notice how your thoughts about EDC changes. After, drop a comment down below if you cleaned up your feed and how it made you feel, along with who that creator that you decided to follow or YouTuber was. So that way we can all learn. Guys, lastly, your EDC will never feel settled if your feed is always trying to move it. Sometimes the best way to carry better is to look at a lot less. Thank you guys for listening in on another episode of Not Another EDC Podcast. Carry what supports your life, not what your feed pressures you into. Stay aware, stay prepared. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out. Waka Pat!